Love, Death, and Robots is an American adult animated science fiction anthology web television series on Netflix. The 18-episode first season was released on March 15th, 2019. The series is produced by Joshua Donnan, David Fincher, Jennifer Miller, and Tim Miller. Each episode was animated by different crews from a range of countries. The series is a reimagining of Fincher and Miller's long-in-development reboot of 1981's animated science fiction film, Heavy Metal. This series is a love letter to creatives, animation, and fantasy storytelling. The show is critically acclaimed, highly praised by both audiences and critics. I would argue that it's near impossible for anyone to not have at least one episode in this 18-episode series that they find to be endearing. Love, Death, and Robots is a celebration of art, imagination, the creativity of the human mind. And while it is indeed deserving of this praise and so much more, I personally believe that there is another medium that is just as, if not more deserving of the praise and recognition from audiences both casual and enthusiast alike. I am of course referencing video games. Now please don't misunderstand me. While there is most certainly an abundance of passion and popularity for video games, as it is statistically the most popular and profitable form of entertainment in the world, I would still personally assert, however, that it does not get the recognition it deserves when it comes to its artistic merits. Renowned film critic Roger Ebert is infamously quoted as saying video games can never be art.
Well, that was a load of shit.
Of course video games are art, and they've been doing what Love, Death, and Robots is being praised for years before the series was even a concept. And I want to make this video a celebration of video games as an art form, a celebration of the stories they tell, the characters they develop, the worlds they give you the opportunity to explore, and the themes and ideas they would have you ponder.
Oh my God, can you please get on with it?
Fine! Fucking hell, I'm just building up suspense! Anyways, come with me as I take you on a journey as we look at video games through the lens of love, death, and robots, and all that entails.
Love is like war. Easy to begin, but very hard to stop.
Love. It comes in many forms: passion, friendship, family, romance, hot, steamy anal sex.
I also just like to watch. Okay, now it's getting weird.
Love is a broad concept, one that video games have deeply explored, but particularly and especially when it comes to family and companionship, building bonds with relatives and strangers. And video games have a much greater capability above that of film and novels to have you, the video game player, fall in love and become personally attached to these fictional characters, and start making decisions in-game, both selfish and selfless, for the sake of these characters. You see, video games provide the ones who interact with them a malleable story that is affected by your choices. And in addition to that, video games can provide those who interact with them an opportunity to experience lifestyles foreign to them and create compassion and understanding. Video games can put you in the role of a father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, or even something else entirely alien to the common human experience. Through video games, you can discover newfound empathy for something or someone you might have despised. I speak from experience when I say video games have made me fall in love. They've made me care for characters with questionable morality. They've tested me on the choices I would make for the sake of love, via wanting to protect a certain character, keep them safe or happy, or perhaps wanting to romance a character. See my in-game avatar become part of a more intimate relationship with another character. With the intimacy and interactivity that video games provide the end user, you can find yourself more enamored with characters from video games than you can from movies and novels. But enough of this sentimental bullshit. Love can also be interchanged with lust. Video games also provide us with the ability to explore fantasies and indulge in our more lascivious natures. While of course video games will never be able to equate to the real deal,
Okay, now it's getting weird.
they do provide an opportunity to be involved in more exotic and erotic situations that you may never find yourself in. Video games provide an avenue for experimentation. Whether that's heartwarmingly wholesome or salaciously lewd is up to you.
Death is life's way of telling you you're fired.
Death. Death is many things. Death can be exciting, it can be terrifying, it can be the beginning or the end of any given story. When it comes to video games, video games, they are a veteran in the field of death. I mean, the medium can't seem to go a single year without it being accused of being the cause of real-world violence. Violence and death. Can't have one without the other. And while it's safe to say we all abhor real-world, real-life violence, let's also be additionally honest with ourselves and admit violence is so much fun. Oh, and video games, they have mastered the art of entertaining violence. No wonder they're constantly blamed for real-world violence. Video games provide us with an outlet to express that barbaric, primal side of ourselves that we all have, while creating beautiful art along the way. Make no mistake, violence and death in video games is an art form. The skill and craftsmanship involved from the video game developer end, particularly the animators, and the artists, they deserve endless praise and applause for their hard work. To make every gunshot, stab wound, broken bone, gush of blood look and feel visceral, have an impact on your senses, well, you're gonna have to do a hell of a lot of studying on anatomy and biology for both humans and animals. Oh, and let's not forget about sound design. Gotta make sure every crunch and splat and gargle sounds as authentic as possible. The amount of money spent on buying groceries to use and abuse meat, fruits, and vegetables just to get the right sound effects? Absolute madness. And depending on the narrative setting the game is taking place in, oh my goodness, the variety of death we have to choose from. Guns, swords, explosions, magic. Supernatural to the all-natural. Death is art. But death is also sorrow. It's loss, it's guilt, it's remembrance. Death and our previous topic of focus, love, are deeply connected with one another. Because as much as we enjoy the death as a result of bombastic, over-the-top, colorful violence, we are also terrified of the death of our loved ones. When a video game gets you to care about a character, to love a character, and then they end up dying because of a choice you made, because of a mistake you made in the game, well, that completely alters your connection to those characters and to the game itself. It's now more personal, more involving. The emotions, they hit even harder. When you watch a movie, when you read a book, the outcome for the characters in those stories is already determined by the author, by the writer, by the director. But you in a video game, you are the director. And even when in a game story, the death of a character is predetermined, and there is technically nothing you can do, your involvement with the game, your immersion into the story, the relationships you feel like you have almost personally built with these characters, when their deaths finally come, you can't help but wonder, is there something different I could have done to save them? While there are a fair many video games that treat death with a sort of extravagance, there are just as many games that treat death with great respect. They try to explore the emotions that are inevitably tied to death. How death affects family, friends, and creates a domino effect of events that spiral into a conclusion that no one saw coming. Or maybe everyone saw coming. The Grim Reaper is as much a poet as he is a playboy. And video games act as the perfect canvas to study this curious creature. Speaking of creatures...
No fancy quote here. Robots are just fucking sick.
Man, that's a lot of scrap heads. They're packing heavy artillery.
That is not heavy, monsieur.
What?
This is heavy.
Oh, bravo.
Ah, robots. This is what I've been looking forward to the most. Because you see, when it comes to love, death, and robots, the robots symbolize so much more than just androids and mecha. The robot part of the Trinity represents creations, particularly human creations. Whether it be machines that resemble man, or creatures that we bring to life from the darkest corners of our minds. Aliens, demons, dragons, something else entirely? Oh boy, video games have them all in abundance, and of course in particular, robots. Video games have been home to some of the most creative creatures and creations ever seen. You see, video games, with the abundance of creative freedom lended to them for their premises, settings, narratives, allow the artists and animators to go wild. Just like classical hand-drawn animation, the only thing limiting the designs of your non-human characters is your own imagination. There is such a plethora of games to choose from with bestiaries that will fill your mind with wonder and terror. But the secret weapon, the leg up that video games have over film and written word, actually ties directly with the concept of robots themselves. AI. Artificial intelligence. These characters are more than just puppets and art pieces for the creators. They can be gifted with behaviors, attitudes even. Like the very stories within video games, their actions are malleable and defined by the choices you, the player, make. Whether you attack or defend, run or hide, the creatures and characters that inhabit video games will react to you. They will respond to you accordingly. Which, I hope this would be self-evident enough, makes them feel more alive than anything you see in film or read in a book. It's very easy to play a video game and have your brain be tricked into thinking the robots, the monsters, those elves, dwarves, aliens, those otherworldly beings are genuinely living creatures with thoughts and feelings. And how could you yourself not feel and think that way? Can you blame your brain for being tricked? I mean, it's such a convincing illusion, isn't it? When you see these beasts on the prowl, when you see enemy combatants take cover, when you see them explore their environments, perhaps searching for you, when you see them chase you, when you see them run away from you, when you see them banter amongst themselves, when you see them dance, when you see them sleep, well then you can't really blame your mind for thinking and feeling that they are alive. Video games provide an unprecedented amount of opportunity to bring our imaginations to life. When you were a child, you used to play pretend you were a robot, an alien, a dragon. But now with video games, you can actually be those things. You can actually fight those things, see those things, befriend those things. And I got to say, that's just really fucking cool. Love, death, and robots. Together, they form a trinity of imaginative storytelling, allowing us to explore the human condition in various ways. Our desires, our fears, our accomplishments, and our failures. Love to provoke us, death to temper us, robots, well, because robots are just fucking cool. Now, you may have noticed throughout this video piece that I have been very sparse with specific examples of video games for reference. My reasoning for this is that I did not want to make this all about one singular game, one singular story, one singular development studio. I wanted this to be about video games as a whole and celebrating them as an art form, and inspiring you, dear viewer, to appreciate video games on a deeper level than you may have ever given consideration to before. I also want this to inspire you to seek out more video games that invoke your passion for love, death, and robots. Netflix's new animated anthology series was a beautiful celebration of art and storytelling, and while it must certainly be praised and appreciated, video games are just on a whole other level.
God, you're such a dork. Thank you all so much. The seductive voice actress you've been listening to throughout this video has been me, Succubi69. If you want to hear more and commission me for work, you can follow and reach me on Twitter at Succubi69. If you want to help out and support Ryan and keep him doing what he's doing and make more videos like this one, then please consider sharing his videos on social media. And if you can, donating on his Patreon. Thank you. Good night. Sleep tight. And just let the succubi bite.